There's just 5 races remaining in the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series, and with all the riffraff out of the way, the field has been whittled down to just 12 drivers. Over the next 4 rounds, the competition will eliminate 2/3 of them, leaving just 4 to vie for a championship in Chicago. One of those races happens right here on the world's fastest half mile. The spectacle here is like watching fighter jets in a cereal bowl or gladiators in the last great Coliseum. And it's pretty common to watch nearly everyone leave these concrete confines with their knuckles bloodied and with a hit list looking like a CVS receipt. Well, that's Bristol, baby. Welcome to Bristol Motor Speedway for 188 laps in the first round of 5 in the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. Kyle Heyer joined by Connor Horn tonight. Connor, welcome aboard. This racetrack has put on excellent racing all week long. We expect more of it here tonight, but it's going to be a fight to the death here in this 100-mile race.
Been a little better than we thought it would be, honestly, especially with the Cup race going mainly green for a big chunk of it. A few bumps in the road Tuesday night, a lot of self-spins, a slick track and a bumpy setup kind of caused that, but we still saw good racing. Great race for the win between what would be the winner, John Hall, passing Skyoli in about the last 15 laps. That got intense, and it's going to get more intense tonight. A little bit of an odd night here Thursday night. It's Road to Pro season now. We're not going to see Jake Nichols tonight, but thankfully for him, at the very least, he has a 29-point gap above that cut line. It's going to go all for nothing after tonight. Connor Yershak's not in here as well. He very well could be running Road to Pro. I'm not fully sure about his stats either, but a little bit of a mixed bag here tonight. 26 drivers in the field currently, and you can see all those players at the front with a gap. Yershak, Nichols, Skyoli, Therian up plus 15, Furness, Bell, Richard Thomas, Brandon Bowie all above the cut line, but then Greg Mitchell, who's been in the championship for, I believe, before, 2 below the cut line. Beckner has been pretty fast all season, still looking to get a little higher in the standings. He's 8 behind, along with Clayton Montgomery and Bryce Senesac. Beckner and I believe Senesac were late additions because of people giving up their spot because of attendance, but attendance is still a little of an issue because of Road to Pro, and it might get intense tonight with these slick Xfinity cars. Yeah, it's going to be challenging even with just the 26 that you mentioned. It's a pretty small field for area. It's a large field for most series, but it is a smaller field, so this race could go pretty green. That's not good for
drivers like the aforementioned Jake Nichols. He should be here after the Road to Pro race here, Connor, but he's already in the server, so he's established that he can join. The problem is he's going to be many, many, many laps down and won't be able to preserve much of that 29-point lead. And, of course, we've got Bristol this week. Yeah, then next week we're off to Kansas. That's where we're going to eliminate 4 drivers, those that are in the red below that cut line, as you see. Mitchell, Beckner, Montgomery, and Senesac are the drivers currently below it. We're going to head down to the racetrack here and show you the graphics in just a moment's time. Drivers in the yellow, they are above the cut line but not locked in. Drivers in the red are below the cut line for now. They have the opportunity to race their way in, or if any of the drivers with the colored backgrounds win a race, Connor, this week or next, they'll be in green, which means they are good to go to the next round without having to worry about points from that point on.
And that's what they all want to see. They want to see their name in green. We got Matheson in the Cup Series, John Hall in the Truck Series. 2 Miller Racing drivers will be in green next week. They might be able to add a third, Low Dollar Racing. It's almost a variant of Miller Racing. Could easily get one of their drivers in green tonight, but currently not a playoff driver in the pole position to get an extra bonus point, which would be the first bonus point in this playoff round given out. Garrett Grant's on pole by about 1,000th over Greg Mitchell, who could have used that point, but he won't get it. But we're still waiting on a lot of drivers to go out. It's very hot. This is not like we've seen the last 2 races here at Bristol. It's a little bit closer to daytime, about a 90-degree track temp. Still not very hot, but it's not very hot, much hotter than we've seen Monday and Tuesday. So that could cause an issue for these Xfinity cars, which are pretty hard to handle already at most tracks. And you get it from a slick track at Bristol, makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, the racetrack itself isn't all that hot. What the point of that is, and you bring up a very good point, is that it's going to get cooler. And so if a cloud comes over the racetrack or you let the time slip away a little bit more, it's just the track's going to be cooler than it is, which means that lap times will be quicker. A lot of drivers, the vast majority of the field, have not put down a qualifying time. They've got 6 minutes to do so. They only need about 30 seconds to get a time on the board. They're going to get 2 laps, though, to make an attempt, Connor. So you might want to leave 45 to 50 seconds, but that's all you need to get a qualifying lap in here. I just am not totally convinced that waiting a really long time and chancing not getting a lap if you make a mistake and have to start again, I don't know that that's a huge deal tonight with a field that's a bit smaller, but I never want to start in the back at a Bristol race because the cars ahead of you, they get involved in a collision, Connor. It's hard to miss it here as we saw Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, we've seen it all race long. Someone self-spins, it could cause a big stack up. We had a big stack up Tuesday night as well, so you don't want to start at the back. So I think we'll see drivers go out with maybe 2 minutes to go, because if you mess up lap 1, you'll probably still have time to reset and get lap 2 underway. So that's when I think you would see the majority of drivers go out, is we got at least one more driver on track currently. It's Clayton Montgomery. No wins this season, but pointed his way in last week at Talladega, just barely avoiding, I don't think he avoided, but he avoided just enough of the Talladega chaos we saw on the final lap to make it into the playoffs. He goes 8th, lap 1. I would not be surprised if it's another 2-lap track. He tried getting to the bottom in 3 and 4, but it's hard to stick it down there. Kind of drifted to the middle, but we'll see how fast his time is at a turn 4. A little bit faster. He goes 6th on the board, so 6th out of 8 so far.
Yeah, but I think that's likely going to probably be a bit further down the order, as so many consequential drivers have yet to put down a time. The weather hasn't shifted much. Again, look at the time, though. It's just about, what is that, about almost 6 o'clock in the evening here in Bristol. So they're maybe waiting for the sun to dip behind the grandstands a bit more. They see the shadows are over half of the back straightaway. If you get a little bit more shadow on that racetrack, you'll see temperatures come down as Justin Anasogak has jumped on the racetrack. Casey Lakatos is on there. Just looks like he's also on his second lap and his number 50, and across the stripe he'll complete it. And that was a very long lap. So that was just practice, I think, for the 50.
I would think so as well. So we'll see. He usually doesn't actually get qualifying times down. He is not going to. He did get a 14.833 down, so he's 4th. But just running practice, he like I was about to say, he usually doesn't get a chance to practice and qualify. He's usually here very late. So we'll see if he can do anything starting near the front.
Justin Anasogak's number 88 Toyota. He will sit on pit lane and wait. Richard Thomas is not going to wait around. He's already up and rolling. See the yellow on the numbers there. Currently above the cut line, but not locked in. A win would do that for him here tonight as he begins his qualifying effort. This is lap 1 for the 37 Chevrolet.
Had a solid season, really. He's going to try to get another better lap in here. He won Daytona, but he's been consistent in the points ever since. He's been constantly, kind of just finishing races, which is important to do to make the playoffs and even make the top 20 to make that win count. It seems like he goes 9th out of 9 here, but He's had a pretty low-key season since Daytona. It's kind of what we saw at the 88 of Anasogak a season prior in this series, but you need to step it up now if you want to advance, as he'll improve and up to 5th out of 9 drivers.
And we're probably about to see a rash of drivers put some times down. Delonte Ballard is rolling off a pit lane. Got 3 drivers with us tonight on the camera. Bryce Senesac, Travis Beckner, and Justin Munsell. We had Delonte last week. We'll not have him tonight. Maybe we had him on Mondays when we had him, but he's up to speed. Bryce Senesac is rolling now, and Senesac is one of the drivers that's in the red, Connor. Needs some luck or some performance, preferably both.
Yeah, preferably both. A little bit of a number change, at least the font looks different to me, but yeah, definitely something to start going his way. Hasn't had the worst of seasons, obviously. He made the playoffs, but also no top 10s all season long, so it's been a rough ride just to even get to the playoffs. His best finish 3 times this season has been 11th, Homestead, Charlotte, Roval, and in Dover. Nothing since January when we went to Homestead, so it's been a bumpy ride. Last week, in the Cup Series side, Lakatos, no top 10s, made the playoffs as well, and he actually started to run very well at Bristol Monday night, so maybe Senesac can do the same tonight, as Beckner's on track. His first lap's 4th, and we'll see if he can go for pole here lap 2.
Yeah, and 4th, well, a couple minutes ago wasn't all that good. It was up about midfield, but now it's in the top 3rd as more drivers put down times across the stripe. It is a 14:8:36, so his second lap was a bit slower, and he will stay 4th for the time being. Weaver and Anasogak, 8th and 9th respectively. Shane Abbey is finishing his first lap. We'll see what the 84's got, and it's a 15:2 That'll be slow. Shane Theron, playoff competitor in the yellow, as he comes up off the wall out of 4.
Matthew Bell went 6th, as everyone's on track. Stafford, Alonso, plenty of drivers, but the playoff drivers are what we're going to focus on. Charlotte winner on the oval side of things for Therian, as lap 1 did not count, must have tapped the wall, so we'll see if his second lap can get him somewhere near the front of the field next to other drivers in the red. He's going to go 4th for the time being, so that'll do really well for him, as Ryan Hartz goes 3rd. Eugenio Alonso finishes his lap. He's going to go 16th. Also, John Furness back in sort of a little bit of a, I don't know if you call it a matte yellow or what, but it looks yellow to me, so he'll start his qualifying run now.
Ooh, that's a decent first lap. That'll put him 3rd in the number 28. I think it's kind of a highlighter Mountain Dew yellow somewhere in there.
That's what we'll call it.
Yeah, comes out of 4. Let's see if he's got an improvement. He does not, off by a couple hundred, so he will stay P3. James Scioli, things are going a bit better this time around for him in this series versus the truck side, as he heads out of 4 to begin his first of 2 laps.
Yeah, winner here last season at Bristol. Only led 11 laps, though. Was not dominant, but got to the right place at the right time. Furness led 64. I believe Matthew Bell led 112 of those laps, but it was a 7 come out on top. Seems like everything went his way last season. Much of the same this season, maybe less wins, but more dominance, as he goes 4th on the board by a few thousandths, but he'll have 1 more lap to go.
Not a bad lap. I didn't see drivers in the 14.7s going faster on lap 2, but we'll see if Scioli can prove that wrong, and will knock a little slower.
It's 100th. Yep. About 100th slower.
Just like
maybe
that.
The last one to go.
Checkered flag is out, and Garrett Grant is on pole alongside Greg Mitchell for this one here at Bristol. And we'll have a couple minutes. We're going to use all 5 minutes of warm-up here to allow those Road to Pro guys to have an opportunity to race. If everyone's there, ready, and willing, we go racing immediately. If we've got a reason to use up all 5 minutes, we will do that. We're going to do that here tonight. Be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. As a subscriber, you'll have Area iRacing emotes to use in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise, all at the price of just $5 a month. That's twitch.tv/Area iRacing. So, Connor, what are the keys to winning this race tonight? We obviously know Bristol is a challenge in its own right, but a slightly smaller field. We have got some of the heavy hitters out of this. We do have the defending winner here, as you pointed out with James Scioli. What's the strategy tonight for those that are not in the playoffs? It's just collecting wins, I imagine, but at a place that's so rough and tumble, do you push and shove a little bit even with those playoff drivers?
I think you're probably going to stay cautiously aggressive, which is kind of weird to think. It's not easy to be cautiously aggressive, but you're going to have to do it one way or another. You want to race him. You're going to race him for position. You're going to race him for the win, but you don't want to do anything that'll put him in jeopardy and take him out of the race and put him in a bad point spot. You're just making enemies at that point, and it's not going to help your case at all. So you really just got to kind of bide your time. Let them go. If they're pushing you, you probably just have to let them go. Don't force the issue on them a little bit too much. But near the end of a race, but at the same time, near the end of a race, if they're starting to push you around after you did nothing to them, probably all bets are off. So the playoff driver's going to have to make that decision as well you know, with drivers also in the playoffs and not in the playoffs. Do you want to get rough and rowdy with them and maybe make an enemy in this playoff run, or do you want to kind of stay nice and just try to beat them the right way? It's kind of a decision every driver's going to have to make, especially those playoff drivers.
Well, you bring up a good point. I was going to ask you if you're a playoff driver and battling someone that's not. And the answer is probably, well, I don't want to create an enemy that has nothing to lose, I think is probably the way to look at that. So Garrett Grant, his first pole since Season 1 Charlotte, which was January 22nd, 2022 in the Cup Series. So it has been over 2 years since Garrett has landed on the front row for a race.
Yeah, it's a good time to do it as well. Most starts in area, and he's got a few wins to boot with that, but hasn't won in a little while. But he's always in the running, always fast at short tracks especially. He's very fast at Richmond, and he's going to be very fast tonight to see him starting on pole. Yeah, certainly. And just about 2 minutes left until our Roasted Gems the HelloFresh starting grid. Got to get old habits die hard with that, but give us a few minutes. We'll get things rolling with the HelloFresh starting lineup here, and we'll roll through everybody on the grid. But a new partnership with HelloFresh for the 2024 season. Looking to eat healthier in 2024 without having to spend extra money? HelloFresh is here to help. Choose from over 40 calorie-smart and protein-smart meal options each week. Every meal arrives pre-portioned, giving you less time to prep and more time to enjoy your meal. HelloFresh also gives you free breakfast for life with an active subscription. What are you waiting for? You can click the link to get started with America's #1 meal kit today, and you use the coupon code to save 50% off your first box. Where do I get that coupon code? I go to twitch.tv/area iRacing and punch in HelloFresh. Thanks to HelloFresh for being our starting grid sponsor. We'll go through that lineup in about a minute and 50 seconds. We're going to have 188 laps, which will be a 100-mile race distance. That's going to be about a 40-minute race, flag to flag, Connor, maybe even faster. And then the question becomes, the 26-car field, do we dare talk about green flag pit stops? We had 2 of them on Monday before the caution finally came out. We'll just have to wait and see. I'd be shocked if we saw green flag pit stops tonight. A little bit of a shorter race, and yeah, a smaller field, but I think there's going to be a little bit more urgency to get to the front if you're not going to start at the front. Have a couple of playoff drivers starting just around and outside that top 20 spot. So we're going to see some urgency, and we're probably going to see some rough driving at the very beginning because everyone's trying to figure out the track. Saw some self-spins Tuesday night because of how down to the track the trucks were set up. I don't know if that's going to be the case tonight, but we'll just have to wait and see, and we'll see which playoff drivers are going to be above the cut line and maybe on to next week at Kansas. Got to wait for Jake Nichols to maybe get in the session a little later. Connor Yaroshak not registered. He's still racing Road to Pro as well. He might not get in tonight, so even if Jake Nichols just gets in, runs last, that's much better than Yaroshak, who's going to be losing that entire point gap as they got, you know, Shane Theron just said in all team chat in iRacing, they got like 20 laps to go. So they're going to be, if Nichols gets in, he's going to be laps down. Yaroshak, if he can't get registered, he's going to be probably in a little bit of a hole going into Kansas, but he's so fast, won 3 in a row for a reason. It might not be that big of an issue at Kansas. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, his performance has obviously been very, very strong. He had 3 wins in a row, Richmond, Homestead, and Indianapolis, that put him in that position. It would be a shame for him to get uprooted right as the playoffs begin. Shane Abbey was the winner last week at Talladega. We've had James Scioli win 4 races so far. That's probably the favorite driver to win as far as stats are concerned. Connor, is there anybody else that you should want to look out for as far as your pick to win tonight? Because that number 7 is probably mathematically the favorite, especially with so many other heavy hitters out of the race. A lot of heavy hitters not be coming in tonight. Ryan Hartz did win here season 2, so that 3 car, he's going to be starting 5th. He could be very fast here tonight. The other former winner here at Bristol is Alan Elwood. He's not here tonight, so it's kind of hard to figure out who can take that checkered flag. But John Furness, Matthew Bell, they led a lot of laps last season, led the majority of the laps, and let Scioli kind of sneak through and take the win last season. So honestly, I think if I'm going to pick a winner, it's probably the 28 of Furness, just because he's Matthew Bell led a lot more laps than him, but Matthew Bell is starting just a little bit further back in 11th. Might be a little more tough to get that track position in the race, the 28 for the win. So Furness is starting 3rd. He was only 2 1/1000ths of a second or around there off of Garrett Grant. So honestly, I'll make my pick right now. I think it's going to be Furness. I might regret doing this, but I'm going to leave the 7 on the table. I'm going to roll with Travis Beckner. He was so close to getting the job done on Monday. I think the rough and tumble attitude and maybe a need to grab some points is going to make Travis extra aggressive tonight. I like the aggression at a short track like this where it can pay off.
I'm going to pick this 27. Against my better judgment, I think that 7 might be the safer pick. But let's roll through the HelloFresh starting lineup and kick things off on the front row with Garrett Grant in the number 5. Greg Mitchell, who's below the cut line, starting things off right, Connor, with that front row starting spot.
If he can get that lap led, that would be important as well. On row number 2, it's going to be 2 drivers above the cut line. John Furness in the 28, and then James Scioli, always dominant in this series. The most recent winner at Bristol, he starts 4th.
And in row 3, it's 2 non-playoff drivers, the 3 of Ryan Hartz, and the number 42, Brody Falliker, starts 6th.
Good starting spot for Falliker. In 7th place is going to be the winner from Charlotte. Locked his way into the playoffs via that win. Shane Theron starts 7th. Just a month, who always fast, not a playoff driver. Part-time this season, but always looking for wins. He starts 8th.
And 9th place, the 5th row in 9th and 10th place. 2 drivers that both need to have good nights tonight to make their way above the cut line. Travis Beckner and Bryce Senesac in the 27 and 09.
Then right behind Matthew Bell led over half this race last season, but did not get the win. He'll try to right that ship. Starting 11th, Jordan Martin, the iRacing Chevrolet, is starting 12th.
And 13th place will be Casey Lakatos in the number 50. Keep your eye on him, especially if this turns into a strategy race. Shane Abbey, last week's winner, wasn't enough to put him into the playoffs, but he rolls off 14th.
Hard time this season, but he's going to try to ride the high to the end of the season. Justin Sogak was fast on Tuesday night, but did not get the finish he deserved. He'll start 15th tonight, not in the playoffs tonight, as well as Alex Weaver starting 16th.
And 17th place. So stack up is happening up top. That's odd. James Scioli
hit the wall, but I don't think there's damage. Richard Thomas 17th. Wow. Danny Ware 18th. That was almost calamity early.
Yeah, 19th is Eugenio Alonso, and Clayton Montgomery starts in 20th. Heard it was a frame drop, hardware-related issue for the number 7. I think he got away with it, though. Brandon Bowie in 21st and Delonte Ballard in 22nd, Connor.
Montgomery needs a good run. Also, Bowie needs to make his way up, as well as Jake Nichols. He's going to have to just fight for any points if anyone wrecks out. Start 24th. Steve Durham trying to right this ship. Rough season for him. He'll start in that 23rd position.
And the last couple of rows here, you see the green flag getting prepped to wave next time by. It's Chris Rabel in the 25th spot, Ed Robertson in 26th, then followed up by Bronson Stafford, bringing up the rear in 27th. The only car to not grid for this race, of course, is Jake Nichols. He is able to join the server and can race, but he's going to be many laps down. The 12 missed the registration period. He will not participate tonight, despite him being one of the top seeds in the playoffs. Florida State Builders Area Pro Series has been rough and tumble all season long, but it's time to get those knuckles bloody in a daytime to evening race here at Bristol. The last grade Coliseum, the fight begins. Garrett Grant brings us to the green. Just like that, lap 1's complete, and we're halfway through lap 2 by the time you finish the sentence. Things happen fast here. In 14 seconds, we do our laps, and Grant, Mitchell, Scioli to the high side here looking for second.
Trying to get it away from the 2. Mitchell couldn't get that lead on the initial start to get a lap led, so he's probably not going to have an opportunity. We had a spin in the back somewhere. Did not really see who it was, but they're off track, still green, as Scioli 2nd pretty easily.
Yeah, I don't know who that was, but good battle here between Falliker and that's the 9 of Therian on the bottom, Justin Munsell in the 6, and more smoke. Didn't see who or where.
Either way, Scioli's going for the lead. He just rocketed around Garrett Grant at the top of the screen for the race lead. He was the first driver to get a bonus point tonight with that lap led, although it's not going to matter. He's one of the top drivers seeded for this event and for this playoffs, but he's going to try to get track position early and keep it.
Noting the wind, because that smoke has been lingering, and the reason why, only a mile an hour of wind, not blowing the smoke away after that slip up on the early lap. Chris Rabel is going to hit pit lane in the 29, so obviously I think there might be a connection there, as you suggest, as Therian drops to the bottom here looking for a spot on Ryan Hartz in the 3.
Trying to get it done. See, not really many different lanes at the front. They got 2 or 3 drivers running the middle willingly. Beckner's using it to pass Falliker, who's starting to fall from that 6th starting position, put him up to 8th position. But a lot of drivers kind of running their own line. The 6 is up the track, almost into the wall. He ran that line a lot Tuesday night. He's going to try to use it to his advantage once again tonight. But most of the drivers at the front trying to conserve tires, running that bottom line like the 9, although the 9's going forward while running it.
Yeah, we had a pretty interesting race on Tuesday where the bottom lane was actually pretty usable, way deeper in the race than I thought would be the case. Even Monday we saw some utilization of that bottom lane. I remember this track was top line only, and real world for a couple of years they were fighting right for that outside line and wouldn't touch the bottom. It was like that for a long time here at iRacing, but whatever they've done to it lately, It's still hard to make moves down there, but you can make moves. And there's also that tire conservation factor that you pointed out.
Yeah, it's going to be important to conserve the tires. I think I would not be surprised because it's more of a day race. I would not be surprised if we see more fall off today than we did all the other races. Would not doubt it one bit, as it's going to be chewing up that right front, especially with the corner speeds and the lack of downforce on these Xfinity Series cars. It is tough to make speed, so these drivers got to be ready for that if we get a long run here.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You know, we're already down half a second on lap times from where we started effectively. That's almost all the fall off we had for the entire duration of the Cup longevity. So yeah, tire wear is going to be a big deal as Greg Mitchell and Garrett Grant are trading spots for second, and John Furn is looking on from the 28.
Yeah, Mitchell's going to try to chase down the 7 right now as his teammate kind of lets him by there. 2 Ford Mustangs kind of working together as Furness is going to get the door shut on him by Garrett Grant. Grant opens the door again just to make sure he doesn't get any contact. Furness trying to get into the top 3 with a trio of Mustangs chasing down a Supra right now as another Supra looks on, and Justin Munsell, who's cracked the top 5 early on, trying to follow through and kind of freight sharing Garrett Grant here.
Go to the high side here and carry his 6 around the long way. Able to quite wrestle it away just yet. Good speed through the middle of the corner. You can throttle up so much sooner on that outside lane. But I find the radius is so tight that if you go into the corner on the high side, you're in the fence. You kind of have to go in like a half a lane off of it just to stay out of the wall, because the momentum will take you there. The high lane requires some commitment to do properly. As St. Darian now looking on Garrett Grant here for 5th. That number 9 is trying to pick him up and drop him down as he moves forward.
Went to the bottom. Just seems like there's no grip down there currently because Grant just completely blew him out of the water on corner exit there on that higher line. Now he has to fight back off Hartz, but we're starting to see, it's kind of what we see short run, but then the bottom kind of came back in the long run the last 2 nights. But right now that top line looks almost unbeatable in trying to defend, so we'll see if that bottom line comes in anytime soon.
There's Shane Abbey in the 84, then Richard Thomas in that 37 on the outside. He's a playoff competitor that would certainly like to have more track position than he currently does. He's got the majority of the playoff competitors ahead of him, including 3 of the drivers that are below the cut line coming into the night. Alex Weaver jumping to the outside lane.
And Yurashek and Nichols and Senesac, right as they run, are all on the cut line, so that's how important it's going to be for guys like Senesac, seeing those top guys away from that cut line, just trying to gain points on them and maybe be in a good spot to outduel them at Kansas. It's going to be tight, but Nichols, that's going to completely change once he joins the race, as long as he joins the race. But for Yurashek, he's going to be in this hole.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at that. It could come down to 1 or 2 points, so I see some motivation for Nichols to join, but he's already going to be more than 20 laps down, and you're going to have to just hope for nights like Chris Rabel's where you crash out early. It's a tough night for Rabel, but it's a spot that Nichols could have, and that could prove to be a pretty important spot next week at the tail end of the Kansas race. So I'll tell you what, Scully's not driven away from Greg Mitchell. Mitchell's now putting some pressure on that number 7 out front.
Yeah, he's gotten to 2nd place and started the pressure running that top line, though. Skyley's been pretty consistently on the bottom, but I think once Mitchell gets to the bumper, would not be shocked if he runs high right there. Of course he does, just making sure Mitchell doesn't have a shot at that right rear. It's kind of reverse from what happened Tuesday night. Well, not really a reverse, because it's what he tried to do on Tuesday night against John Hall, but the 2 tires did not work. I'd be shocked if we saw 2 tires happen again and it'll make that move, but the name of the game stays the same no matter what car or truck you're driving here. That high line is for defense mainly.
See most of the field jumping up the hill, and there's Darian having another look at Garrett Grant. Been pretty orderly so far, only 1 car out, the rest all within about a third of a lap.
And a couple playoff drivers just not moving up. Clayton Montgomery still in the 20th position where he started up, actually back a position as he's actually trying to get around Brandon Bowie. Those 2 drivers, not a good start for them right now as they run. They're 3 back for Bowie, and Montgomery's 12 back. No wins, no bonus points to go for the 45. He needs a good run, but not going anywhere right now. But as I say that, he does get around the 42. Man, Brody Fowler really not having a good start. He started all the way up in 6th. He's outside the top 20.
Yeah, not going the right direction, certainly. And you pointed out the 45 doesn't have any wins to lean on. That's something that Urashak and Scioli, if it came down to it, they've got those wins to lean on. As far as tiebreakers spin, and I think that was at Falliker.
No, and a Sogak. 10th.
Caution is out, and grab him as he fell down the order, but is there some damage on this car to boot? Doesn't look like he got away with it for the most part.
Super looks clean, but he lost all his track position in his junior throwback. Turn market replay.
Contact there from Jordan Martin, maybe?
Yeah. He got a boot in turn 1.
Did a great job spinning it to the apron and holding it there. That's about as good as you can crash at Bristol, I think.
I would say so. That was incredibly tight. But yeah, that's
Ooh, that was the lightest little touch. I mean, rough and rowdy, but that's about it. That's laying a hand on someone. That's not giving him a push in the chest. That is, again, as far as crashes go, that's the best he can crash. And as far as hitting somebody, that's the lightest you can hit him.
That's all it takes here with the banking the way it is. These cars are already on edge corner entry. You're firing it in there. It barely have any grip at corner entry to begin with. So that's all it takes here. And Jordan Martin just a little bit too close. I don't think he expected that to happen, really. I don't think he expected to actually hit him, as he'll probably get the EOL for that.
I mean, that was
C here, but that's all it takes.
That is a tough call.
If that's the case. I don't know if that's the case yet.
Right. As cars roll off pit lane.
Theory. I keep saying Theory, and he's a 38 in trucks, but no, it's Jordan Martin.
I don't disagree with that. It's just that's got to be frustrating for Jordan Martin, because it was the lightest touch. But doesn't matter. The result is the same. Round win. The car ahead. So, cars on pit road now. I think everyone will opt for 4 tires and fuel. You're not going to pit that many times, especially if this race goes so green. So, I would recommend taking tires now. You're going to shoot for another pit stop a little bit later in this race. You can probably do it on one more from here at some point, depending on when that yellow comes out.
Looks like Scioli got out first. Obviously, Licata's rolled through. He'll get his lap led, I'm sure. And then everyone else will come back down, but it doesn't look like trying to look through the field. Don't see anyone going back, so I think we, dare I say, might be penalty free, but really not much of a shakeup in the order.
Durham is on pit lane was on pit lane for 25 seconds. Could have been for damage, though. Can't tell if that left rear has got some issues or if that's just the livery that's on it.
A little bit hard to tell. Could have been a little bit of damage.
It's all right to me now. So.
I think it is just the delivery on it. Licata's pits, gives up his spot, as we thought.
Yeah, but and he didn't even lead a lap through all that.
He did.
Oh, did he?
It shows me that he did, at least.
Doesn't show it for me. Scioli, Licata's, as he drops down the order. So Scioli's led 28 laps. Another point that is useful. It's the most laps led point.
Oh, they just wadded him up in duel 2. They just wrecked a bunch of cars.
Yeah, I wish I could see it, but
Blaney's on fire. Gregson.
Man.
Oh, man, he's really on fire. Gosh.
What duel's Kyle Busch in?
The one he just wrecked in.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Yeah, he was in that.
Oh, boy.
I don't know who was it in that. That was a lot of cars. So we get ready to go, and hopefully we don't crash a lot of cars here, because that was big.
Man.
See how much damage Kyle has. Gregson was in it too.
Hopefully all the cars are on the ground at least.
Oh, yes, they were, as far as I saw.
All right, well, the NASCAR boys run into each other in eastern Florida. We're going to run into each other here in Tennessee. Scioli is the lead control car here on the inside and back underway in Bristol, Tennessee.
Like every time we restart turn 1s, especially bumpy on that high side, it seems like they don't get going up there, really, but they get going in 3 and 4 pretty well. Scioli's on the bottom, though. Until Greg Mitchell gets there, then he'll go to the top, but for now, Scioli leads, and they're almost 3 wide trying to split Garrett Grant.
Ooh, that got spicy there. Whoa, big slide by Travis Beckner, as Munsell goes to the bottom, trying to grab a spot from the 28 of Furness.
Trying to get up there, almost right down to the 28, almost up into the 28. Got to use all the room on corner exit that you can at both sides without turning that driver for the lead. Greg Mitchell did get to the outside of James Scioli. He'll take the lead. More importantly for him, get that bonus point for leading a lap.
Yeah, that was a very critical pass there for Greg Mitchell as well, especially if this race goes green a bunch. If you have pace and you can show it over the long distance, you're going to be doing well tonight. Here's Beckner to the inside of Therian for 6th.
Trying to make it work. Tough to do, but got no choice when everyone's stacked up on the top.
Danny Ware bounced off a Senesac there on the straightaway last time around.
You're in Beckner side by side for the 6th position. Beckner trying to get it on the bottom because looks like John Furness is kind of the cork in the bottle on that top side, kind of holding up Munsell, but Munsell looking middle, maybe to go 3 or maybe just get clean air on the nose because air does matter at least a little bit here.
Yeah, you're going really fast through the corner, and Martinsville and Bristol, while they're the same length effectively, very different racetracks. One is very point and shoot. You're stopping and starting the car quite a bit. You're not leaning on the arrow in the corners basically at all. Here, very different story. Much faster, wider corners with a ton of banking. Makes things a lot faster, and the faster you go, the more arrow is on it. I've heard drivers tell me that when they bolted a rear wing to their car, you feel it around 110 miles an hour is really when it starts to make a big difference. And so, despite these cars having spoilers and not wings, I think the same is probably true.
I would not be surprised if that's the case, so just kind of got to deal with it for the most part. There's not much you can do about it besides just deal with it. No changes you could really make to it. Nope. It just makes that just a little bit tougher.
Yeah, it's kind of just set how it is, and you're going to have to drive to it. Shane Abbey to the bottom here, Danny Ware, but this is a big stack up behind battle for what is 3rd. Garrett Grant, Beckner are door to door, and John Furness has slipped a bit since the restart, and he's backed up Justin Munsell with him. Their fight is really what triggered this.
Yeah, Furness is not really going anywhere, but also Garrett Grant's not really going anywhere either. Scioli's going to look back for the race lead to the bottom. Mitchell went around on the top. Scioli's going to try to grab it back on this bottom line here. As this will bring Garrett Grant just a little bit closer.
Trouble! He put him in the wall. He put him in the wall down there.
There's Senesac around. Playoff driver in it.
Oh, no. Bryce Senesac torn up in it. And Greg Mitchell's car is destroyed.
Yeah, he got a lot of damage on that. Might have gotten the worst of it besides Senesac. Yikes, that's not going to go over well at all.
I don't see him being very happy about that.
I don't blame him.
Well, he's going to sit in line. Let's have a look at how it started. Battling for the spot here, and
Scioli's saying net code. At least he's thinking net code.
No, he hit
really
him
agree.
There. No, he hit him. The question is, did the 2 come down, or did?
Well, I mean, he's running the top side. I mean, he's in middle, but Scioli you would think would be on the bottom. But what Scioli's trying to do, he's not trying to run the bottom. He's trying to stay as high as possible on Mitchell's door and then turn it down to get a run on the exit 2. But he just drifts up, in my opinion, a little bit too high, clips to 2, and then I think it's like Danny Ware clipped Senesac. Eugenio Alonso got some damage there as well.
Yeah, here's
in all that
further rear situation here. Senesac slowing down, gets hit from behind, and yeah, Alonso there into the door. Not much those guys could have done. It's just stack up, classic Bristol stack up there. Well,
they're calling it racing.
Really?
Assume they're ruling that they were just going for the same piece of real estate, which might be true. I think racing here, man, when you're trying to run on the door of someone entering the corner, you got to be a little bit more aware. I feel like the contact was happening because of the 7, no matter what. But either way, he kind of dodges a bullet, keeps the lead.
Would not do well.
His best friend Travis Beckner's going to restart on his outside.
Yeah, I would.
More inside.
Would not do well in oval race control. Yeah.
I've been asked at least a series that isn't around anymore, not Oral or Vero, something different. But like I keep getting asked by I think Bailey Turner if I want to do race control. It's like, no, I don't want to get yelled at. I can't do that.
It's just the rules of engagement I'm used to are very different. Not saying that they're wrong or right anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
Different rules for different series for obvious reasons, but yeah, I don't know. I guess the problem I have is I guess where do you draw the line between racing incident and wreck responsibility if their intention doesn't matter, right? Like if you're penalizing for intentional wrecking, that's one thing, but if you cause a wreck, which I believe the 7 did, I would see that as a penalty. But that's why we're up here and not down there, and we've got a hard job most nights. So.
And those are not the only playoff drivers involved either. I'm looking, looks like Clayton Montgomery's actually got a big piece of right front damage, so he's going to have to deal with the repercussions of that as well. He came back in to try to repair it. Greg Mitchell, he's going to really be struggling with a damaged rear deck lid, rear bumper, and also his right front's not looking too good.
Yeah, so some damage there. Cars double up for the restart here. We'll be lap 52. And about 30 minutes left in this race if we go green to the end. We've only had 2 yellows so far in the first 51 laps. One for a spin and collision. And between the 38, who's the car that he got into first? Am I not remembering already?
Yeah, we're not good at this. And a Sogak.
And a Sogak, yes. He's recovered to 16th place as the car rolls out of turn 4, and Skyley's back underway in the number 7.
Skyley's back underway. That kind of really hurts the cut line. Senesak was doing well. He's now 16 below the cut line. Greg Mitchell was leading. He's now 6 below that cut line, so he's got work to do to try to gain that back, as well as a 0.9 win a lap down, repairing damage. Also, Clayton Montgomery way below that cut line, but Skyley doesn't care. He keeps the lead and all that. Beckner, the big winner in that, he gets up to 2nd.
Yeah, the thing that makes it hard for the 2 is he's below the cut line coming into the night. He needs a good night. Got taken out for the lead, and then if he retaliates, he'll go to the back end of the line. So that's a rock and a hard place for the 2, I think. He's just got to shake it off and carry on.
Not much else he can do about it besides that. Maybe he can hope for justice. We know these 2 at the front brace each other.
Oh,
hard.
Yes. I mean, it's not undocumented, the relationship between these 2 guys.
Probably further documented than it needs to be, but... Look, you wreck a lot, you get a lot of press, as Garrett Grant just shoved Matthew Bell up the track.
I will say that on tough, long nights when there's a bunch of yellows, it is fun to have a little bit of rivalry here and there.
Not a long night yet, but
no, not yet. It could be.
It could very well could be. Well, Brandon Bowie's having a good recovery. He's almost up into the top 10. He was not running well earlier.
There's Beckner now losing a spot to Furness on the high side. We'll see if the 28 can keep his Ford tacked up on the outside. Whoa, Eugenio Alonso's going to put him 3 wide as he goes lap down.
They were almost 3 wide for the lead with John Furness and Eugenio Alonso. In fact, they were for a minute. I think you did mention that, but it did let John Furness get to the outside of Beckner, which Beckner probably did not want. It's going to let Furness get the runner-up position.
A little messy back here as they navigate Eugenio Alonso. It's just you can't hit the disappear button here, and there's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide around Bristol. Especially when you're on the bottom and people are still exploring that right after a restart. Maybe later in a run, not such a big deal. They're double file even back here for 15th.
Yeah, they're really all over the place back here. I think the lap traffic is really hurting things, so we'll see if that can sort itself out right now, because it is tight.
Ballard and Bronson Stafford are back there as well. Brody Falliker in the 42, Danny Ware. Actually, when he was involved in that wreck, he didn't get all that much damage. He managed to slow the impact quite a bit, did a good job getting on the brakes. This is just a track that it's so hard to see what's up the road. Finn and I made the point on Monday that we're sitting lower than the driver is there, and you can see when you go off into the corner, you can't see more than half a turn ahead of you, and the driver is sitting higher and further forward in the car, so you're even looking more up than you are out.
Oh, Matthew Bell just had a huge slide in turn 4. He saved the wrecking. Brandon Bowie's around.
And right back into traffic and gets clobbered by Eugenio Alonso. Did it break the suspension on that car? That could be catastrophic for the 43.
I think the suspension's intact. He might have gotten away with one. Weaver's had a slide as well. That could have been much worse. More playoff drivers involved too.
Things are getting gracious, spicy tonight. Let's see what happened, how this started. You saw the slide and
starts out at turn 2. Watch this. He's been working over Garrett Grant. Grant's going to have a little wiggle here. Works to the inside. I think he thinks he has to desperately get this pass done before he can't get back up. He sends it in, but way too far. Gets sideways. Gathered it up, but just too much of a stack up. Richard Thomas, Brandon Bowie kind of ran out of room, and then right here. Eugenio Alonso just kind of ran out of room to avoid.
Yeah, took the left side of Alonso's car off, but Third yellow of the night. Third?
Third or fourth.
Third.
Yes, it is third. Is strategy. Skyway pits.
Interesting.
Yes, it does. And Furnace will assume the lead.
Munsell stays out with him.
I'll give Furnace a bonus point.
30 laps on these tires, Connor. Some of them on green flag, some of them under yellow. What are your thoughts here with about 120 to go?
Fall off I thought would be big, but it doesn't seem that big. John Furnace was still running times within 2/10 of fresh tires, so I don't really hate it. I think it's going to be a little tougher to pass here in these Xfinity cars, but I think we will see those fresh tires get up to the front sooner or later, as we did have Jake Nichols just join the session, so he looks like he's going to come in and assume 27th position, and you'll get Rabel for 26th pretty quickly, but we still have everyone else, as far as I can see, still running this race.
So he's going to pass Rabel, and he will pass, assuming he gets on track immediately, he's going to pass him around lap 126. So that means that that's 126 of 188. So he's very quickly going to run into a scenario where he can't pass anybody because he's going to run out of laps effectively. So if we don't have a lot of carnage in the next 30 laps, that's not good news for Jake Nichols.
Yeah, so that's really what he's hoping for. I think just he's on the cut line without having points gained currently. So once he does get on track, he's going to be in a much better spot, I think, as far as staying above that cut line. We'll just see how it shakes out.
Working lap 67 of 188 here in the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. We've had a bunch of looks at some of our SimWrap Market replays tonight. Make sure you head on over to simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple and easy to use, so it keeps you more focused on the racetrack. That's simwrapmarket.com. We're past the 1/3 mark of this race now, and we're going to quickly storm towards the halfway point of this race. John Furnace is out front and leading currently. There's your laps led on the left-hand side of the screen. Scioli's got 50 of the 67 that we've completed. Furnace now has 2. And there's a handful of others that have claimed a couple laps at the point, Garrett Grant included.
And Jake Nichols does get on track, so we'll see how much this will make his night better. Immediately kind of puts him 17 above the cut line, just even making a lap. So that makes it all that much more important that he got in tonight and Connor Yurashak did not, because you can see right now Yurashak is going to be in a much worse spot come Kansas, a much more scary spot.
Yeah, possibility of being eliminated with 3 wins on the season. That would be a catastrophic way to end the season. Lap 69, green flag. John Furnace fires off and away. First driver on fresh tires, Travis Beckner in the 27.
Yeah, Beckner got a much better restart on the top than Scioli could on the bottom, so Munsell, Ballaker will be the top 3. Beckner's already cutting through into that top 3 position with fresher tires, making much better inroads than I thought they would. Also, I don't think we saw many drivers stay out, so it's a much quicker route to the front for the 27 as he tried to squeeze into the top side behind Munsell, could not do it.
Beckner still working over the 6 there. There's a 34-lap tire difference, but not all 34 were under green. Ballaker's up to the top side there to try to steal one, and Scioli went middle, chopped down through the center across the nose of Bronson Stafford. He's up to 6th place.
Beckner with a dive to the bottom. He'll go for the race. He'll go for second on Munsell, as he's likely going to get that position. As Scioli's trying to work to keep pace with that 27, who's ripping through the field a little faster than the 7. He's clear for second. Now just John Furnace to pass.
That did really leave a lot of margin there as he slid across Justin Munsell's nose. And for the lead down here, Beckner.
Oh, he slid it too much. Big slide, but he saved it. That was almost the race.
Battles everywhere on the racetrack right now, midfield and beyond.
It seems like it's the same issue as Tuesday night, where if you drive in a little bit too hard, you do not have the grip to do that, and you just slide right up the track. But it was impressive to see him not lose too much momentum doing so.
I'll try it again. Battle for third is heating up between Munsell and Scioli. Here comes the 27 on the bottom.
Richard Thomas up to about the top 7.
Garrett Grant almost got split 3 wide. He had a big tank slapper slide.
Beckner.
You just don't know where to look. There's action everywhere here.
Well, we're talking about Tuesday night. This is the action track.
Yeah. Richmond does not deserve that title in comparison to Bristol. Not anymore, it doesn't.
Almost clear. He should get it out of 2 here. Scioli's going to look for 3rd under Munsell at the same time. Beckner trying to slide up. Can't quite do it. Thought he'd get it there, but should be too long from now. But he should get this done before Scioli makes up ground.
And, oh, he's so close.
Almost.
And now he's through and clear. He should be able to head up ahead of the 28, and he will do so. It's still pretty frantic back here between Falliker, Thomas, Shane Ferry, and even behind them, Abby, Weaver, and Lakatos.
Yeah, Lakatos has been in the scramble pretty much all night, so he's got to be a little careful. Grant just gave a little bit of a hip check to Ryan Hartz for the 7th position. Richard Thomas kind of just watching him race from 9th. He's had a good climb through the field. A slow climb is better than just wrecking, which is not a saying. Maybe it will be now.
Oh, spin!
Oh, there it is.
It's, oh, big crash.
Munsell, big crash. Danny Ware. I think Bowie's in there. No, he's not. And a Sogak destroyed.
That 88 is absolutely mangled.
Matthew Bell's engine's gone. His engine expired in that. That's huge.
And the cars drive away from the wreck site. Munsell and Bell seemingly get the worst of it here. Let's have a look.
And Anna Sogak. 3 cars destroyed. Let's see here. And the 88 gets turned again.
Yeah, that time from Munsell. And then...
Ooh. Danny Ware.
Oh, there's Bell.
Oh, huge. Yeah, he came flying into Ed Robertson. He's at the back.
Yes, there's the slide, but you can't see it until now, and he's already on the brakes, but you can't, it's so hard to stop. It's actually easier to stop if you're closer to the wreck because you see it formulating. When you drive into the corner without having it seen, seeing it start, then it's too late. And he went up the hill. He tried to use gravity to stop it. Bryce Senesac managed to just miss that.
Ryan Hartz was also involved. That took out a lot of contenders. This is what the 73 definitely wants, for sure. He might be able to pass as Greg Mitchell gets a lucky dog there. But a lot of fast cars involved.
He should get that a handful of spots. He will at least get the 43s, assuming that engine, he's still running. It is broken, though, you're right.
Could be a graphical glitch for all we know, but definitely, either way, that car is destroyed.
Yeah, so going back to the initial cause, it was Munsell getting into the back of the 88. You almost have to wonder twice. Is he actually getting run over, or is he doing something funky on corner entry?
I mean, it's possible he could be checking up for the corner earlier, but
it's still, you still can't run somebody over regardless.
No, I mean, they can run the race, they can run the track however they want. It's up to the driver behind them to honor that and not pile drive them. Jordan Martin did it. Now the 6 of Munsell. It doesn't matter what you're used to from other drivers. Yeah. You have to be aware. I mean, you got to race out the windshield. There's no reason that should happen twice. Whether he's checking up early for the corner or not, you have to be in control.
Fair point. That is true. Caution is out now. 5th time. Lap 84 of 188. Closing in on the halfway point here as Beckner leads the way. He was my pick to win this. I thought that the 7 might have been a safer pick, but they're going to restart nose to tail here in a moment's time.
Yeah, should not be too long from now as you can see, and we're going to start to see who's really in a bind and who's not. Bell, I don't even know if he came down to repair anything. He might just be waiting until his 3 laps on the meatball flag go.
I think you're right about that. Just try to get as many as you can. Anna Sogak is out, so that's a spot for Jake Nichols to grab. Nichols has already, has he passed Chris Rabel? Yes. Nope. Is that true? How does that work?
He has not passed Rabel yet. Oh yeah, he has because
he ran 19 laps.
Rabel only ran 6 laps. Yeah, our math was wrong, but yes, he is 26th now, so extra point to his name. Could make all the difference. Also, it's important for him to keep the incident point for 0x because he has nothing to race for.
Right. So Beckner chooses the high side. He's going to have 21 of Delonte Ballard up behind him. And we're going to restart lap 86 of 188. Just over 100 laps to go, and Beckner's off. Scioli right to the bottom. Try to get by Delonte Ballard, and behind John Furness, a bit of a cork here, huh?
I would say so. It's very, very corked, as he's kind of been the cork all night, especially on that top side. But how about Ballard? He's had fast runs, but he hasn't really gotten a lot of finishes to go. Third place running right now is incredibly well right so far. He's going around the 7.
Yeah, track position helps a lot. I think his qualifying probably doesn't do him any favors typically, but drive around the number 7 and go back a little bit deeper. There's Lacatus, Jordan Martin, Brandon Bowie, just ahead, Shane Abbey, Alex Weaver, and Brody Falliker.
Gallagher's had a day all over the place. He started 6th, went back outside the top 20. Now he's back on strategy in the top 10. He's all over the place, but not in a bad way, just all over the board.
Little action back here at the 84, getting to the high side of Falliker, and Brandon Bowie jumping up to the top.
Bowie's also had a pretty good recovery currently compared to where he started and was running outside the top 20. Now he is back in a fight for the top 10. Also, Richard Thomas was outside in the top 15. Now he is inside the top 5.
Yeah, Thomas really doing a better job at this point in the race. He's there's only one driver left up in the front that's still on 60-lap-old tires. Most other drivers have hit with 25-lap-old tires at this stage. So Furness still clinging, but that 37 is coming forward, and they are still growing the pressure behind John's number 28 Ford.
Meanwhile, no pressure for Travis Beckner currently, kind of all on his own as they run. So that's going to be pretty good for him the more that goes on.
Yeah, Beckner's doing a really good job just checking out leading laps. This is really good for him. Remember, look at the color on the ticker. He's in the red, or came into the night in the red. So this is a very, very good situation for him. And I think as running, well, obviously that would put him through to the next round regardless. Shifts the cut line. Matthew Bell would be out. Oh, so we update now again as we see points shifting and shuffling. Urashak Bell with a 4-point margin. That's going to help Urashak, the fact that Bell's not going to finish this race. Just the more drivers that have big problems tonight, the better that is for the 12 of Urashak next week.
Yeah, it's a big factor, especially. So instead of being barely above, pretty much tied on the cut line like he was when we looked earlier, he's going to be at least having a cushion to the point where maybe if he finishes top 10, it might get him through. But either way, he's going to have work to do. Just hoping for the best scenario while not running and just kind of watching, I assume.
And not looking good for Greg Mitchell, down 2 laps. He's repaired the car, but it seems like it's going to be hard for him to gain a lot of spots back without maybe a free pass here or there.
Yeah, 2 laps down, and he's not the lucky dog Justin Munsell is. 2nd through 5th are in a league of their own, while Beckner's really in a league of his own, almost 1.2 seconds ahead, but they're 2 by 2 behind him.
Is that something that concerns you? Is he burning up tires too quick? Because he's just been setting sail out front right now. Fastest car on the track by quite a bit.
We've had a lot of short runs, so I wouldn't be too shocked if that's the case. But I know he's running that bottom line. I'd assume he's being smart about it as Skyley gets all the way 4th to 2nd on the bottom. So we'll see. If we get another 20 laps or so, we'll start to see whether or not he burned him off. But I think you definitely got to be driving hard to get a lead like that, regardless of the battling. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, what's our situation with pit stops as well? Because for most of the drivers, they would have to go about 120 laps on the tank of fuel that they've got, which I think is possible. But I don't know about those that still hadn't pit on that most recent yellow. John Furness is one of them. He's got 70 laps. He pit on lap 33 and hasn't pit since.
It's going to be, I think you can make it pretty far on the tank here at Bristol. I would be surprised if he's not still in a decent spot to make it on fuel, but it depends on if we go green or not. I'd be shocked if we went all the way green to the end of this one. So if it does go green, then you'll have a concern on his hands, but I don't think you need to be concerned about that until we get to lap 150 or so.
Yeah, and then there's that always question floating around like we saw on Tuesday. When's the last opportunity to pit and make up ground with the new tires that you're going to bolt on? And for me, if we've got 10, 15 cars in the lead lap, it's one decision. If we've got 20, it's a different one. But I don't like coming to pit lane with anything less than 20 or 30 laps at least, because they click off so fast.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think 30 to 40 is that range once again. It just depends on who comes down with you. We did not see a lot of drivers come down. Well, we didn't see a lot of drivers stay out last time, so it's really going to shake up strategy if we do get another yellow, as far as if you want to use that last set. Is it's now a 2-car breakaway at the front. Scioli's checked out over a second in front of John Furness, but he's still got a second and a half to Travis Beckner, as it seems like John Furness, he has pace to run at the front, but he doesn't have pace to stay with the leaders, as Richard Thomas is going to try to take this 3rd spot away. Good run for him.
Ooh, 3 wide, Delonte Ballard in the middle, and Varian had to lift to make sure that they were going to come out the other side in one piece. And they are going to whittle back down to double file, but you're right, that 37 and 28 battle is fierce.
Richard Thomas, John Furness, they made some contact in the 3 last time. Furness spoke over the radio, didn't like it, but they stay side by side for position, regardless, as we got a caution.
Oh, and Travis, I saw him throw his hands up in the air. It was Ryan
Ace
Hartz.
Lakatos.
Oh, was it Casey?
Lakatos around. Christopher Bell won the duel, if anyone cares.
Spoilers.
I mean, come on.
If you're watching this channel, we never hold back on live events that are happening at the moment.
No.
Here's the, just big stack up. Gets hit from the 38 and the fence. And then what happened to the 3?
I did not know. Did he just...
He just pulled down pit. He was already in the process of pulling down as this was happening.
He's out of the race. That's another spot maybe for the 73.
And Lakatos spins and takes away Travis's 2.5 lead. And it's going to drag the whole field here to pit lane, I think.
I'd be shocked. That was a long enough run. If you don't pit, you're probably crazy. Another racing deal as well. That one I agree with.
Yeah, that was classic accordion effect there. So, yeah, I think this is the call. Come down pit lane. Honestly, I would consider not coming again. Unless we did 40 straight laps of green, then maybe I'd consider it. But you know you're good on fuel from here on out. Your tires will be fine at the end of this thing, provided you're not slipping and sliding all over the place. This is a mathematically good time to do this. We're also down to 19 cars on the lead lap of the 27 that started. So you can get away with some riskier calls strategy-wise a bit later. Again, we are so close to the end of this race. It's unbelievable. Under 20 minutes when we go back green. It's just amazing how much faster these laps tick away than a typical race.
It is incredible. It kind of makes you wonder if these races should be longer, but I'd be surprised if they made them longer.
I like short races.
We're good.
We've done this for 6 years now, and I've always said that once you go beyond the hour mark of race distance, as far as actually sitting in the car, you tend to not see a lot of changes in the running order. We've done some very long races on the oval side in the past, and there were some races that were 250, 260 laps on a mile and a half, and by lap 120, you know who's going to win. You're just going through the motions at that stage. So I like these short Bristol races. Also, it leaves some margin for yellows, which is nice. But they have been. This one is going by pretty quick. So Steve Durham did stay out. He's got 29 lap old tires. Maybe just picking up a lap lead. Maybe he'll stay out. We will see. But things are getting progressively spicier. Maybe Rick's Hot Sauce spicy. Race fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver takes home that $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. How you feeling about your pick?
Furness, I mean, he's been running at the front, but it doesn't feel like he has the pace as Beckner or Scioli do. And he lost about 4 positions on pit road there. So if he doesn't have that pace to stay with them, because it seemed like he fell off of those 2 pretty badly, he might not be able to get up there. Gonna stick with it, but that longer pace is concerning.
Yeah, Travis, I'm pretty happy with this pick. I do worry that 7 might have a bit more raw pace on him. I think Travis might know that too, guessing by his reaction to the yellow. I think it wiped out his lead, yes, but I also think he might know that 7 might have some pace and gives him an equal opportunity to get on his strategy and get right up on the bumper.
And going to the top here, it's going to pin him behind the one of Durham.
Yeah, that's the thing. Durham is the leader, so he chose the inside, but
yes,
you see it already. It's going to be interesting down here in turn 1.
Here goes Beckner outside. Not going to be a challenge for the lead. Garrett Grant's going to come with him for the 2nd position. Scioli just completely close the door on Shane Abbey to get up there and just limit the damage. He'll go back to 3rd, but Durham's getting freight train 3 wide. Richard Thomas, playoff driver, risky through the middle, but Bowie follows him through at the same time.
It's go time. You got to go. 21 Ballard, big slide.
Oh, they're going to hit it. Big crash. Actually not that big. Danny Ware got some damage.
Big hits, but they keep the cars straight.
Munsell on the back, caution. Oh, boy.
Yeah. They got away with that. It could have been a lot worse than it was. Beckner gets the lead out of that, and he will restart. Whoa, pace car. They will restart alongside each other. Beckner and Scioli will. Man, this is shaping up to be one of those races, isn't it, between Beckner and Scioli?
It sure is. It almost always ends up like that, doesn't it?
Seems like it. Yeah, this is just. The Cottis got in the back of the 21. That didn't help. And then the 6. How did he? Locked up the brakes, I think.
Looked like he tried to avoid Eugenio Alonso at the last second. I don't know if they made real contact or not.
He was completely blind to what was happening because he was behind Alonso. Well, I mean, watch on board here. We're going to see it because we're looking for it. But blind, completely blind. Has no idea. Alonso just stops. And then, I mean, nothing Alonso did wrong. He's trying to miss the wreck. But, yeah, that's racing incident there.
Yeah, not much they could do here. We are having pit stops 10th. Licardis from 10th with Durham, which is unsurprising, but Licardis pits. Anywhere, a few others.
Well, that experiment is concluded, I think.
Yeah.
Got to try it at some point, right?
Yeah. No shame in trying it.
I mean, I'm more on board with that strategy, at a place like Bristol than I am at a place like Charlotte or a big oval where you know you're going to be 15th by the end of lap 1. Bristol, at least you have the opportunity for people to wad it up behind you.
That will work for Greg Mitchell. I think he should get a free maybe a free pass out of this, which he did. So still very damaged, but importantly back on the lead lap and could pick some other positions off.
So Travis Beckner quickly amassing some laps led here tonight, 38 to James Scioli's 50. And I think once you factor in the yellows and a restart, I think Beckner and Scioli will be fighting for that point. I think by the time you give Scioli a real opportunity to pass, they'll be pretty close as far as laps led are concerned.
A lot of playoff drivers with issues tonight.
Yeah, there's also
more than we saw Tuesday night for sure.
Yeah, but there's also a lot that have had pretty quiet and decent nights. Therian, Bowie, Furness, Thomas. There are equally as many that have had catastrophes.
As the points go, that cut line's still so close to the point where no one's even out of it at all. Yershak's one good. Clay Montgomery's actually the first one out by 1 point, but then Matthew Bell's technically the furthest out, but he's only 4 below the cut line. So I don't believe we saw the cut line get very close Tuesday night, but right now, at least the way it runs, it is incredibly close for everyone. Yershak on back.
It's going to be interesting run here. Now, Scioli is pretty close to being locked in on points if he were to finish where he is. Obviously, if Travis were to win this race, that would put him in the show through past Kansas. Jake Nichols, and just starting the race did him a world of favors, didn't it?
Yeah, sure did. It matters. You go from 0 to like 20, and that makes a world of difference.
So it's going to be, we're looking at 68 laps to go. And that will happen at the rate of about 4 laps a minute. Travis Beckner is your race leader. He is the control car, stacking them up on the outside as, here we go, green flag back at Bristol. It's a great launch.
Yeah, it was a good launch. Scioli, I thought he might have an issue getting second, but he did clear back up as about 2/3 through this race. Thought it was go time last time. It's really go time now as he's going to be trying to get to the 27. Beckner's also going to be trying to run away, and more importantly, going to be trying to run that bottom as long as he can. Make Scioli use his tires up on the top, but when Scioli gets there, you probably go to that top side to protect, but I'd be surprised if Scioli tries to use a little bit of a chrome horn.
Oh, look out.
Shane Abbey.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, up to 3rd, last week's winner from Talladega. Maybe showing us he could have had a shot had he been in the playoffs. As Thomas and Furness run door to door. I was going to point out Clayton Montgomery's back up to 9th, so came into the night needing to have a good run, and this is the right direction for him at the right time.
Furness around for 5th. Looks like Richard Thomas might go a little bit backwards here. Therian just trying to follow one of them through. The buoy is, excuse me.
All right, here we go. Scioli has run down Beckner after the restart, and game on out front.
Whereas Shane, if I was Shane Abbey, I just kind of want to watch this and make a decision based on that.
I absolutely don't want to be right behind them here as they go off into the corner. This is going to be fun, though. Classic fight at the front of a Florida State Builders Area Pro Series race.
It always comes down to these two. That's just because they're so aggressive yet so fast at the same time. They're always fighting for wins, it seems, when doing this. So this is going to be a fierce one.
Shane Abbey's doing a fantastic job. He's actually a bit of a mosquito in the ear of the 7 right now, just kind of an annoyance that Scioli can't shake. He can't run whatever line he wants because he's got the 84 right up the tailpipes.
Just makes it all that bit tougher for him because you're going to get a little loose with the car right on your bumper no matter where you are. And you just kind of have to deal with that no matter what. There's nothing you can do about it except just try to drive a little bit harder to get away.
Shane going right up to the outside wall again. A little deeper in the field. A couple battles have fizzled for the time being. How about this one, though? Jordan Martin, Steve Durham here for 17th. Anywhere. Senesac, that was tight.
Incredibly close. He's battling for everything he can get. Now 4 below the cut line. Now we have 3 drivers tied for 4 below the cut line. Clayton Montgomery's just tied with Irazak, so it'll all mix and match once we get closer to the end. But Senesac, all that damage, still fighting for his life. Now on Danny Ware, who's also pretty heavily damaged.
Keeping my eye on that lead gap. It is growing. Beckner is putting some distance on Scioli, mostly because James has got his rear view mirror packed full of Shane Abbey. Beckner's best friend right now, I think.
I would say so. It's kind of keeping Scioli honest. He can't run the bottom like I assume he wants to because Abbey keeps looking to the high side, getting enough of a run to the point where James Scioli feels like he needs to defend and make sure his right rear doesn't get taken away and he loses that spot. Though he's having to play a little bit of defense and turning his tires just that little bit more, and it might help Beckner out as this battle's pretty fierce. It's about 5 cars under a blanket, almost maybe all of them for position as well. This is 14th to 19th,
yeah, 18th. All for position here. Senesac and Ware spent some laps side by side. Little lateral slide there by Danny, and try to slot in ahead of Munsell. He will do that. Drivers that were side by side are now singled back out.
John Furness got up to 4th. He passed Garrett Grant, who pole sitter, also having a quiet night, but hasn't been able to really compete. And all of a sudden, let's talk about he might have long run pace, but he is coming to the front. He just slid up right in front of Shane Abbey for that 3rd position. So all of a sudden, here comes John Furness back to the front.
Yeah, his takeoff has been really slow on the restarts. Goes backwards a couple of positions, but give him 10, 15 laps, and this car comes alive, and maybe the driver will as well. Laps are clicking away, and Beckner has started to give a little bit of time back to Scioli after establishing a half-second lead. Furness is quicker than both of them, and quicker than everyone else on the track.
And even that time by, once again, he was the quickest driver on the racetrack, so it's going to slow him down a little bit if he wants to pass the 7, but he's still got enough time where he doesn't have to be too aggressive. These laps are going to click off pretty fast, but you got to be smart about it. Maybe wait for lap traffic to maybe play a role because they're not too far away from lapping Eugenio Alonso and Greg Mitchell.
Yeah, they've got a handful of drivers on the horizon here as Beckner keeps Scioli at arm's length, and I think the 7 will have to deal with the 28 before the 27 has to deal with the 7.
That time by, Scioli half a tenth slower than Beckner. Furness was a little faster than both of them, but that advantage was a little bit smaller that time, so maybe already trailing off the speed charts, but still ripping the top fast. Scioli didn't really fully commit to running the top, but just enough where Furness had to check up a little bit and not be able to get to his outside.
James is now on defense, it appears, but he's not going very slow, even though he's changing his lines to keep the 28 in the rear view. Behind them, Shane Abbey's given up a spot to Garrett Grant, or Grant's trying to rip one away, but has not managed to do that just yet.
Yeah, this is Grant trying to get Abbey. 84, good short run pace, starting to fall off a little bit here as this run gets a little longer. But Montgomery lost a pretty crucial spot to Alex Weaver. He's back to 10th, still a good run considering the damage, but falling off a little bit now.
So Travis Beckner is very quickly going to have lap traffic to contend with. It's the 2 of Mitchell. Still a playoff competitor, but Travis goes to the bottom and is going to dispatch the 2 relatively quickly, but needs to go to work here. It's going to get busy.
Wow, 2 playoff drivers side by side for 7th. Richard Thomas, who's been aggressive tonight. Shane Therian is on his inside looking for that position.
They're also approaching the lap traffic. Grant and Abby, door to door.
Grant, at least Shane Abbey looks like he's just incredibly tight through the center, not having any rotation, so he's going to start to fade here as more lap traffic. I thought it was side by side for the lead. It's just Eugenio Alonso, but this lap traffic has let Beckner get a 7/10 gap.
Yeah, Travis is doing a nice job carving his way through because he's able to be patient. He doesn't have someone right up the rear bumper, and he's going to get a couple of laps by himself now, nobody on the horizon. As we close in on 40 laps to go.
Now Grant's past Abbey. Looks like Brandon Bowie's working together. Bowie's going to try to use Greg Mitchell as a pick, and it's going to work. So that's a little crafty there as Bowie's now into the top 5.
Look at Theron, big run out of turn 2. Leaves the door open to the inside of the 37. If he can keep the overlap here, he could stack him up behind the 2 of Mitchell.
Ooh, boy, that's tight.
He's not going to quite get there. They're going to be 3 wide.
It's not going to work. He lifted to make sure that wasn't a crash. Alex Weaver with long run pace out of nowhere.
Yeah, where'd he come from?
I don't know, but this is going to get tight. Now they're 3 wide.
That's not going to work.
Richard Thomas is going to save it. That was incredibly close to being bad. Not over yet, though. Weaver gets through. Oh, my goodness.
When you make those big saves and then you enter the turn low, we saw that bad and very badly on Tuesday, but wow, Richard Thomas did a great job gathering it up, and all the way through goes Shane Abbey up to 7th. Through what was a very chaotic couple of laps there for those drivers.
Here, he's just going to take that 7th position right back. More importantly for him, got by Richard Thomas, who's also starting to kind of fall off a little bit, back to 9th. I think they're faster than the 84, who's really dropping at this point, but going to be a struggle to get that position back.
And Scioli has given up even more time to Travis Beckner. This 27 is just in tune. He was close to getting one on Monday. He got roughed up right at the end of the race. And off and away down here into the banks of Bristol.
Yep, the lead's still steady. They're running similar times. No one's making ground up on either driver right now. So it's getting pretty close to this being pretty much the money run at this point. Any yellow at this point throws strategy out the window, because I think everyone does have to pit with how worn these tires are. But we get to about 15 to go, that decision becomes a lot more difficult.
Just about 8 minutes of racing left if we stay green, and only 18 running cars at this stage, so unless drivers start to lay hands on each other, you could anticipate seeing this go to the end without another yellow. And as far as this race so far, we've had 6, which isn't all that much for a race of this length. 127 of our 156 laps have been under green flag.
And it's the point, you can see how spread apart the top. This is tight. That's not even for position. Actually, yes, it is. Munsel's still climbing back through after his lucky dog. This would be a decent recovery if he could get a top 10 after being crashed, but Clayton Montgomery cannot afford to give up positions.
No, he can't. He's got to fight tooth and nail for this.
Not much of a fight. I wonder if... not much fresher tires, I don't think, on the 6, but fresher car, perhaps.
Shane Abbey trying to hang on to 9th. Thomas and then Munsell moving forward, and that 6 to the bottom. That was very close. He's going to run 37 up the hill there, and almost 3 abreast there for a moment.
Want to be roughing up most of the playoff drivers. It's almost exactly what happened to Scioli and Greg Mitchell earlier, so got to be a little careful racing him, as Richard Thomas has been stuck behind Shane Abbey for what feels like the last 20 laps. 3 wide. Shane Abbey's just going to back out of it.
Yeah, no thanks. If you want it that bad, you can have it.
I would say so.
Munsell is just hounding the quarter panel, as Garrett Grant is just taking 3rd from John Furness.
That's kind of what we expected from Furness. He had a resurgence, but it seems like that long run pace is really not there. He was 0.6 of a second slower than Travis Beckner last time by.
I'm amazed at Munsell's car control to be able to put his bumper so close to Thomas's and not hit him, but he's up in the outside fence and trying to get any overlap he can here on this 37. The wall there.
Too much.
Yeah.
Wall bounce strategy, very popular here, but
it was for a couple of iRacing builds. That worked out pretty well in the past.
Not as much that time after Ross Chastain's move. Really tight. Now he's going to be stuck behind Eugenio Alonso. Will he force the issue?
Yes.
He's trying to. I don't think this is going to work as well. No, it's not. Munsell's got the spot now.
Yeah, he put Thomas in that position to make him make the call. Are we going to do this or are we going to not? And Thomas, I think, figured maybe we can live to fight another day next week in Kansas, but 12 above the cut line is some points. It's just not as many as I think he'd like. Whoa, Abby off the fence, almost spun out.
Yeah, Abby is really, really good short run, but even worse than the 28s. I think that right front is begging for mercy. Really not coming through the field, going through the track as well anymore, just not getting overlap and not getting runs off the corner, but just enough to keep the 45 at bay. As Bryce Senesac, with all that damage, he's climbing a little bit further through the field. Now he's looking for 12.
This is not what Clayton needs this late in the race, to go down this many spots when he's fighting for every last point he can accumulate. As Bowie and Weaver, very tight between these two.
Weaver is one of these drivers who has had long run pace. He's caught the back of the 23 of Bowie, who's also starting to fade a little bit. This would be a good top 5 for the 62.
Here it comes. 20 laps to go, by the way. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Next time by the stripe.
At this point, Beckner's going to take another bonus point, I assume, for leading the most laps. At this point, with a second lead, Scioli not seeming to have anything to respond with. It's just going to go from red to green at this rate.
Here's what I worry about. He's only a couple seconds back from this mess. See him entering this big group of traffic, and he's going to have to play this pretty smart.
One of those is Jake Nichols, teammate to Scioli.
He's not normally lap traffic, is he?
No, it is a little bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is a little bit surprising, but I don't expect him to be pushing that hard.
Look at the stack up ahead of him up the road.
Big time.
And they're going to crash right in front of the leader.
Beckner is going to be upset about that. Oh, man.
Wow.
He just went off on the driver's chat. That was brewing for a few laps.
Who was the one that
Shane Appy, Danny Ware. Oh, he's upset.
Yeah.
And that throws, we're going to restart with almost 10 to go. It's going to be crazy now. This looks like, it looked like Clayton Montgomery got a bump from Ballard, and Danny Ware tried to avoid it, and there was no room for this. Watch the 21 right there.
Yeah.
And they just ran out of room.
Yeah. And they kept it straight, but Beckner saw it happening and just was hoping it wouldn't be a yellow, and yet it was.
Now what?
Now what indeed?
It's so short.
No, I don't.
Such a short run.
No way. You have to stay out if you're Travis Beckner. No,
the tires are so
No
worn.
way.
It's a second of fall off.
Someone's going to take this and win this race. Justin Munsell stays out.
Munsell, he not going to win this race if he's the only one, which he is.
Oh, okay. Well,
but who's going to? Someone with this short amount of time left, we will see 2 tires. And honestly, at this point, you might want to take 2 if you're Beckner just to cover off, because I would not be surprised to see James Scioli take 2 tires here. Bowie, look at all those playoff drivers who could take 2.
I want track position here. I want it really bad, because the chances now, with everyone being so aggressive here, the chances that we get a couple more yellows, extremely high. I don't want to restart on the bottom in row 5. I need to be up on the front row as best I can. Scioli's off. He just takes 2 tires. I think everybody took 2 tires.
Grant, Therian, they all came out in front of Beckner.
Travis took 4.
First one off with 4 tires. I think everyone else did take 4 as well. But that is 4. That is 3 drivers that Beckner's going to have to run through in a short amount of time.
And we're going to restart on the bottom as well.
Going to be tough.
This is, I want track position. I want it. And Beckner is not going to have it. Scioli is going to be in a great position here to steal this. I mean, I don't know that Munsell's got much of a chance when he's out there by himself.
No.
If he had someone else on the front row with him, maybe. But I don't know. I saw so much risk coming to pit lane there.
Yeah, little shocked for sure to see everyone pit besides one, because I really thought we'd see more risk takers as far as the playoff drivers not running well, but not the case.
Beckner has locked up the most laps led tonight, though. That will help.
Sure will. Now you got Richard Thomas. He's had a rough final run. He was running top 5, but now he's all the way back in 11th. Bryce Senesak's up to 13th with heavy damage, still weathering that storm. This is going to be a pretty crucial run because all hell could break loose and take out a lot more playoff drivers than what we've already. Yeah, could. It will. What are you talking about? But yeah, this is going to be interesting for sure. I think Ed Robertson got the lucky dog.
Yes. Remember that bit at the beginning I talked about bloody knuckles? There's a couple that are looking nice and crispy and are ready to do some punching here. This is going to get interesting. John Furness also took 4. He's on the top side here. But that inside line might move because the 7's down there. So let's see what pans out in the last 12 laps at Bristol, the last great Coliseum. The Gladiators are going back to work.
Oh.
Green flag, and Munsell got a great restart.
Riley did not. Beckner immediately got to the top side behind Furness, so this puts Furness with a big advantage. Beckner's in the wall. He hit it all on his own there. Now he's on the backside. Scioli, they're splitting Munsell for the lead. Here comes Therian around the outside.
Oh my gosh! Crash!
Ballard's in the wall. Weaver's crashed.
Caution.
Caution.
Huge crash. Ballard got air.
And that... Oh, Beckner's got to be fuming.
I mean,
has
been, but let's have a look. The 21 just gets put up in the fence in a big way.
Let's see what happens. Beckner the wall on his own, but wasn't much to know. Was there anything?
No. Big net code.
Yeah. And then Weaver spun on his own. Case Licata's got a piece. Senesak might have gotten a piece. Gosh.
This was huge net code. Watch this. He bounced off the 5, actually.
So not work out for Justin Munsell either. He's already back to like the 5th position or 4th position.
Yeah, now too late to take tires.
Yeah, you've made your bed at this point. Just gotta lay it, then just hope. I guess hope for yellows and hope you're not the yellow.
Well, while it has gotten spicy, we've already done our Rick's spot, so we'll do this one instead. Winter is here. Bundle up this season with shop.areairacing.com and shop from the new selections of Champion hoodies, jackets, and sweatshirts. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. That's shop.areairacing.com. There was a bit about Champion, the brand.
Possible.
Yeah. Champion.
Yes, as good as mine.
The company. It was based in Rochester, New York.
How about that?
Yeah. Which, for those that aren't frequent flyers around here, that is the city I was born and raised in, up in Western New York. Oh, well, JT's mad because it's no longer winter. The groundhog said it's spring.
Well, I think there was a bunch of snow in New York, so I don't count it. Another race. A lot of racing incidents tonight.
Yeah, I don't know that you can pinpoint anybody in particular and say that it was their fault. So it's hard to assess a penalty, and when everyone kind of had people bouncing off each other there.
Sure is.
Speaking of winter, it has been a fairly mild winter up here in Chicago. We had one incredibly deep freeze for about a week and a half, and then it's been about 35 to 45 the last 2-3 weeks, and just kind of gray and weird. That's how it's been. If we get away with just that one deep freeze, that will be pretty lucky.
Not too much more time for that to happen, but, you know,
well,
nature's weird.
I've seen significant snow up until the beginning week and a half of March. So we're probably about 3 weeks out from being clear of it. We'll see some flurries and things in April probably, but nothing that'll stick. All right. And lights are off on the pace car, and next time by, we will go green. Beckner
with 5 to go.
6th.
It's behind no tires as well.
Yeah.
So he's going to struggle to get by Munsell.
Man, this race probably got ripped right out of his fingers. The question is, who does it land in? Is it Therian? Is it Scioli?
Is it John Furness? How about Garrett Grant? Don't count him out.
Here we go. 5 laps left at Bristol. here we go in the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. Great restart there by the 9 at there, and he's off and away. 5 laps left at Bristol.
Beckner did not really get going. They're stacking up in turn 1, but they kept it straight. Scioli's cleared a second. Now he's got almost no time to chase down the 9 of Theory.
Beckner's going to try 3 wide top here on the 6 of Munsell. He's through, bounces off the 6. He's up to 4th and has a next driver on his chopping block. That's the 28 of Furness, who's in similar tire territory. There's going to be a crash here with Munsell if he doesn't get his car sorted out. He's going to tag the 37 of Thomas, who
Richard
spins.
Thomas.
Caution. And the 49
anywhere.
gets tagged in it as well.
That was worst case scenario for Richard Thomas.
And maybe good for Travis Beckner, because he's going to move up an entire row right behind the leader for the restart.
But I don't know if 4 are better than 2 enough for 2 laps, if we get 2 laps. That's going to be the difference maker for sure.
6 had been getting bounced off of and bouncing off of people for a while, and then going to tag the 37 here.
Hit him there, and they kind of bounce off each other again, and yeah, 6 is up the track. It turns a playoff driver on no tires, so you're not surprised that happens on these 2. Ed Robinson, Danny Ware, just no room to avoid.
Just running out of road to miss him.
Can't really blame Richard Thomas for being upset. You know, when a non-playoff driver wrecks a playoff driver, it never goes over well.
The pace car.
There's a lot here. Lucky dog Greg Mitchell. So they will put him on the lead lap, I think. No, I might put him 1 down.
No,
actually.
he's on the lead lap now.
No, that's important, but too many others got a lucky dog to block him from getting back on the lead lap. So if he could recover any positions, that'd be important.
Now Jake Nichols is up to 22nd.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty well done. He's not going to gain any more spots, but not sure if these have been updated. No, he must have. 26 points above the cut line. Jake Nichols salvaged the night. That's for sure. And Greg Mitchell.
That's a...
What?
Yeah, that's all the difference makes. It's now, what is it, 23 points between him and Euroshack, and then it's 26 with the cut line to Euroshack's 3. Makes it a whole lot more manageable.
Yeah, if Greg Mitchell's got any pace left in this too, he's got an opportunity to grab 3 more spots and end up above Euroshack on the cut line. So, let's see. So, if the race gets another yellow, race is over and field is frozen. If we finish these last 2 laps, it's going to be 30 seconds from green to checker. That's how quick things are going to happen. And there's been someone revving the engine and burning fuel.
I think it's Scioli.
Yeah, so that's a strategy to burn excess fuel. I don't think there's any point in that, quite frankly, in a stock car.
I don't think it makes a lot of difference here.
No, I mean, I've seen that actually be pretty effective in open wheel racing, but these cars are so heavy, I don't really see the point. But every little bit helps, maybe.
We'll have to see. They called that incident neck code as well. Richard Thomas just yelled an expletive, not agreeing.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a Codis. I think I might have misheard. I didn't really look at who it was. I just assumed.
So this should be our 1 to green. Lights are off. Darian's going to pick the outside. And you know what? I know Travis Beckner would like to win this race, but I have a feeling that his goal would be satiated by just finishing ahead of the 7.
And Scioli has not been getting good restarts, not good enough on the bottom. And it's really because the top launch is obviously because of the banking, and he just can't risk jumping the restart.
No, Travis is going to, if he gets a really good restart here, he might have a shot at this. But
it's going to take a bumper, I think.
From
there.
I don't think that was ever going to prevent anybody from doing that. But here we go, 2 laps at Bristol. And these are the times for the last blows. Green flag and a great restart by the 9, a decent restart by the 27. Here comes Furness to the bottom.
3 wide for a second, almost didn't work. That's going to force Beckner up the track. They had more contact. That might be all the 9 needs to get away. But he's not really away. Here comes Beckner with a run.
White flag, 1 more lap to go here at Bristol, and Beckner led 94 laps. All he needs is a bumper to lead this final one into turns 3 and 4. Here he goes to the bottom of the racetrack. A huge send for Beckner. He's going to slide up the hill. Here comes the 7. Checkered flag. Beckner's going to grab it by a nose. Unbelievable. Unbelievable move by Travis Beckner.
1,000th of a second. My
Wow.
gosh. And here, he's not happy.
Wow.
He is not happy. Therian's not going to like it.
Wow. Wow, wow. You wanted Bristol? You got it.
Beckner was not going to be denied. And
it's hard.
Don't know if the 50's his teammate.
It is hard to watch that and feel like Beckner should have done anything less based on how he lost the lead in the first place. But then again, Therian didn't do anything to him.
You know, Beckner got that move done to him by Jake Nichols Monday night, and I didn't think it was, you know, they've had a little history, but I didn't think it was right to do there. And especially that wasn't for the win. This one was for the win.
Whether it's right to do or not, I think
it was done.
It was done. And Travis Beckner is your winner at Bristol. I'll take the commentator points also.
Oh, yeah, true. Brandon Bowie gets a fourth out of that. What a wild way to finish that one. Gosh.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, Connor. And we're here in the 9. It actually hit the wall before there was contact. And let's have a look.
See, Beckner turns it down, and then he's just going to go for a move here. This is all he has left.
I mean, that's true. I don't know. I'm looking at it again. I don't know if Beckner really did anything wrong.
I think there would have been contact anyways.
No, but
I think what.
I mean, seriously, I mean, the 9 bounced off the fence. Oh, maybe you're right.
Yeah. Skyly was so close to making that work as well. I think he saw it coming. I think there's going to be contact regardless, but I think Therian tried too hard to not get slammed by the 27 point where he hit the wall so hard it ruined his momentum.
Yeah.
They will disagree about it, no doubt about it.
They absolutely will, but we were treated to a very interesting result, as we typically get here at Bristol, Tennessee. Here's a look at your race results here, Connor, and this was a Bristol race.
It's one of the most... We don't really get a lot of crazy finishes at Bristol as far as, you know, like side-by-side for the win. That might be one of the best I've seen. They were 3 wide across the line for the win, which I don't think I've ever seen here. But, you know, what a finish. There will be talk about it as well. But either way, Beckner's moving on regardless unofficially. And how about 5 playoff drivers inside that top 5 as well? Had a lot of non-playoff drivers run well. Garrett Grant kind of probably deserved a top 5, doesn't get it. Abby recovers, Jordan Martin recovered to 8th, Falliker 9th, and Clayton Montgomery somehow, with all that damage, gets a top 10.
Yeah, Clayton Montgomery, I'm sure, will take that. In 10th place is not a bad result. Casey Lakatos grabs an 11th. Richard Thomas, disappointing 14th for him. Bryce Senesac, and then Greg Mitchell. Man, that 2 car had so much pace. It all went south when he got turned around by the 7, Connor, and kind of put a damper on his day for sure.
And I'm sure he's still unhappy with the 7 and how that went down, but either way, he had to recover. He was pretty much at the back of this field for the longest time. To even get 18th place is at least a W. Richard Thomas is probably going to be one of the most disappointed drivers, finishing 14th after a top 10. You know, with the incident with Munsell, not going to be happy about that, and he will unofficially go into next week with a 5-point buffer.
And looking down the rest of the order here to some that didn't have such good days. Well, Jake Nichols salvaged something. He'll be above the cut line by quite a bit heading into Kansas because he joined late. Matthew Bell, catastrophic crash, puts him down the order into 24th. Chris Rabel was out early, just a couple laps into this race. James Scioli crossed the line in 3rd place. He'll bring the number 7 home inside the top 5. And the margin of victory to the winner was just 0.02 of a second between Shane Therian and Beckner, but James, you were just 0.03 behind Beckner and come home 3rd. Take us through your night.
Yeah, first off, gotta give a huge apology to Greg Mitchell. Not how I drew that up. I kind of did the same thing in 3 and 4. I just rolled the middle. He was running really high up, so I figured that I'd just kind of roll the middle because it's so hard if you roll the actual bottom to get underneath somebody and pass them. So I was just trying to roll that seam, just put my tires underneath it, and I feel like I hit pretty close to the same line that I did in 3 and 4, but we just got together, and this contact model is just so tough. You can't make casual contact like that, so unfortunately that really hurts Greg in the playoffs. I was kind of asking for him to EOL me there, but they didn't. They just called it a racing deal, so just moved on from there. Wasn't as good as I wanted to be on the long run. I was really tight, but the right rear was burning more, so it was just kind of a weird setup. I think the setup was built for a couple seasons back, just never really fully comfortable. Garrett got to my back bumper there. I was ready to let him go, and then the caution came out. I knew I was going to take 2, and Shane was able to roll a pretty good restart. I got really loose on the bottom 3 wide there, so he was able to get control, and then I knew there on that last restart I didn't have a good enough jump to really get to him, so just let Travis go, do his thing. Was hoping that they were going to wreck, and it was real flashbacks to Monday where I was able to get Jake and Travis and get second, but unfortunately just came up a little bit short here. Don't know if I backed up the entry too much or if that was all I had. They definitely didn't lose as much speed in this race as they did on Monday, so just tough to be that close to locking myself into the next round, but the points should be looking pretty good.
Yeah, points will certainly be in a good spot, James. Congratulations on a P3. It got frantic there at the end, and honestly, I was impressed everyone came across the stripe, at least pointed the same direction. So thanks for putting on a show, and good luck to you next week in Kansas.
Yeah, I got to give a huge shout out to you guys. Can't wait to go back and watch that finish. 3 wide across the line at a short track is always very entertaining. So huge shout out to you guys. Big shout out to the admin team for doing everything they do. I know these short track weeks can be tough, so big shout out to them devoting their time. And then shout out Rick's Hot Sauce, Code Skyley, get you $7 off. And then Dandles Candles, Matt Co. Tools, Butt Kicker, and Chris Sports Cards for being on the car. And hopefully we're talking to you guys again next week.
We'll see you there, James. Thanks for chatting. Congrats on the P3.
Thanks, guys.
And Travis Beckner brings home his number 27 at the top of the board in the second closest finish in area history. Travis, first of all, congratulations. I know that you had a lot wrapped up in this race. It worked out in your favor, but I do have to ask, roles reversed on Monday, and I think the mood was a little different. So I want to get your perspective here because obviously you threw it down there. You didn't hit him technically until you come out of turn 4, but I do want to hear your side of things and why it's different tonight versus Monday. But congrats on the win.
Well, I didn't think I was going to win next week at what's it called? Kansas, I think it is, but I knew I had the car to do it tonight. I knew I had the car. That caution came out with 10 to go, or however many it was to go. And he chose the top on the last restart. I got a good start. Going down into turn 3, I'm like, I feel bad for doing it. I'm very sorry, Shane, but I had to do it. Like, I'm sorry. I would understand if you're pissed off at me or not right now. I understand 110%.
Yeah, so obviously it puts you through to the next round. You came into the night under the cut line. Do you think that this could potentially put you as a target in the next couple of weeks once you're through Kansas, and does that concern you at all?
I'd like to think it's not going to concern me. I mean, I haven't had really anything bad with him in the past until now, but I had to do it. I mean, I messed up the second to last restart, spun the tires out of 2, bounced it off the wall. And, yeah.
Travis Beckner wins at Bristol in a dramatic finish. By the way, Travis, second closest finish in area history. 4 of the top 5 closest finishes in area history have all been this season.
Yeah, before I go, I'd like to thank my sponsors, Palooza Pines, Celsius, Alien Gear Holster, Area Shop, everybody at Miller Racing, Low Dollar Racing. Y'all come and take time out of your day to come broadcast this. I cannot wait to go back and watch that. I've got to get Cosman to put my playoff contigs on, and huge shout out to Cameron Hearn and JT Poole for giving up their spots because they were not going to make it. Huge shout out to them too.
Travis Beckner wins at Bristol. We'll see you next week at Kansas, Travis. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, we've got Shane Therian joining us now in the number 9 and led a handful of laps there close to the very end of this race. Led 15 laps, Shane, and went on to the white flag lap with the 27 in the rearview mirror. And coming back around to the stripe, you had 2 cars basically to your left, and you lost by 0.02 of a second. The second closest finish in area history, but it goes the wrong way for you. I know emotions are high right now. Take us through those last couple laps. What did you see from the driver's seat?
I really wanted to just hope that Vector would be smart. I don't know. He's made a lot of enemies this year. Last year, I gave him the opportunity. I gave him the bottom. I know I hit the wall, but if I didn't hit the wall, he was hitting me off a 4. It's just, I don't know. I saw the gap. I was like, there's no way he sends it. Like, there's no shot. He's on 4 tires. He can just roll the bottom. But he did. That's an understatement. It's so hard to win these dang races, and I had a shot, and it's just taken away from me.
You're going to head into Kansas 30 points above the cut line, so there's still something to lose for now. You're still very much in the fight as we move on to the next week and then the next round. But for you, is this something that you'll remember, or do you have to stay focused on the mission at hand there, despite the emotions tied up in this finish?
Oh, I'm going to remember it. I'm on a Kevin Harvick season. I'm not coming back next year.
Oh, no.
So making me an enemy is probably not ideal for some of these playoff guys. I haven't announced that I was not coming back, but I think they should probably know now. So, yeah, look out for that.
The rearview mirrors weren't being looked at. They certainly will now. Shane, congratulations. I know it's a tough one to swallow, but a great run tonight and a great result puts you in a fantastic spot heading into Kansas. Good luck to you there, and hopefully we'll talk to you again.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Shane. All right, well, you see the points there on the right side of the screen, Connor, and you got to understand Shane's frustration, obviously, but, it's over now, and now the question becomes, does this haunt Travis Beckner later in this playoffs, or is this something that is going to pan out for him and he could go on to be a champion because of this moment right here?
Well, he kind of threw the gauntlet down with his comments. He's not coming back next season. He's in a championship fight. It'd be... that's kind of throwing the gauntlet down and just kind of letting your intentions be known. So we'll see what gets done about that. A little bit of intent wrecking lately, so maybe we won't see that this playoff run. But it's going to be interesting for sure. Therian, he's still got a good point gap, but obviously heartbreaking to lose a race like that. But, in fairness, like I said, Beckner had it done to him on Monday night. So, A, he learned a little bit from that can work. And B, this was not just for second or third. This was for the win. More importantly, it was for a win to advance to the playoffs. You heard Travis. He had to do it. He had no confidence going into next week at Kansas. He led the most laps tonight. He got it ripped away from him late, or so we thought. He felt like this was the race he had to win to have a chance to advance, being below the cut line coming in tonight, and he did just that. So I understand him getting aggressive and going for this win. It mattered a lot to him, and he got it done. But that's what happens. You make playoff moves like that, you might make playoff enemies. So he's definitely going to have to deal with the 9 at some point in the next about 3-4 races. It's going to be interesting. It certainly will. And of course, we mentioned Bloody Knuckles, and there's a handful that are leaving, and some with retribution on the horizon. Shane Therian second by 2 1/1000ths of a second. Travis Beckner wins at Bristol. He's locked in, has nothing to worry about next week at Kansas, but something to worry about absolutely down the line. Thanks for sticking with us on a great night here on Thursday for the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. We're at Kansas next week. Make sure you join us this weekend for the VOR SF23 Series as they head to their next round. We'll see you on Sunday for that, and then back on Monday at Kansas for the Area Cup Series. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Kyle Heyer with Connor Horn. Have a good night.